Reaching 80 and living on your own, that's quite an achievement, wouldn't you agree? But of course, it all depends on how you look at it. Some might say, I'm all alone, I have no one. Others might think, I've made it this far, I'm still independent, and I'm in control of my life. The truth is, living alone at this age isn't a sentence. It's an opportunity. It's a chance to enjoy freedom, to embrace the wisdom you've gathered, and to live a life that still has so much to offer. Now, of course, if you don't know how to make the most of solitude, it can turn into chaos, a source of anxiety. But if you learn to manage it, this could be the best chapter of your life. Living alone isn't for everyone, but if you view it from the right perspective, it may be the time when you discover your greatest inner strength. So let me ask you, do you feel alone or do you feel free? Today, we're going to explore how you can transform that solitude into something empowering, guided by the principles of Stoicism. At the end of the day, life isn't about how many people you have around you, but about the quality of your relationship with yourself. My name is Gabriel, and if this is your first time here, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications. Stick around until the end, as we discover together how to embrace solitude to live your later years with strength, purpose, and serenity. Let's begin. Living alone at 80 is something many people might see from the outside as a sign of isolation or vulnerability. But I see it completely differently. At this stage of life, not only have you reached a point where independence is a reality, but you've done so after decades of experiences, lessons, victories, and defeats that have made you stronger. Instead of viewing solitude as a problem, it's time to see it as a badge of honor. Because let's be honest, reaching this stage of life and still being self-sufficient is something worthy of admiration. When we were younger, the idea of living alone might have scared us, but now it's different. You're not the same person you were. You've accumulated a wisdom that few can understand. You've lived long enough to know that being alone is not the same as feeling lonely. Living alone isn't a sign that something went wrong in your life. It's an achievement. It's proof that you can face life bravely without depending on anyone else. It's like reaching the final level of a game and realizing that, though some levels were difficult, you always had what you needed to get through them. Now, aging has a unique feature we sometimes forget. It gives you tools. Many tools: patience, experience, the ability to observe without needing to act right away. These tools are what allow you to face solitude with courage. Because yes, living alone requires courage. Not just to handle the day-to-day tasks, but to deal with the thoughts that come when the house is silent. Thoughts that, if not managed well, can turn into monsters of anxiety or sadness. That's the crux, isn't it? Everything depends on how you approach that solitude. And here's where things get interesting. You have two ways of looking at it. The first, I'm alone, I have no one, and it's chaos. It's easy to fall into that trap, but then there's the second option, the one I propose today. I'm wise enough to learn from this experience. I'm grateful every day for the strength that lets me remain independent and self-reliant. Let's be clear, solitude doesn't have to be a nightmare. In fact, it can be the greatest gift life has given you. Because if you know how to embrace it, it can become the perfect space to reconnect with yourself, to live at your own pace, and to do what you've always wanted without having to answer to anyone. That's the beauty of living alone. There are no external expectations, it's just your life and your decisions, and that's pure power. But I understand it's not always easy. Sometimes, when routine takes over and the days seem to pass without much going on, that independence can start to feel like a burden. And that's where many people get lost. They start to think that living alone is some kind of punishment. It's not. As the Stoics always taught, what matters isn't what happens to you, but how you respond to it. And here's the good news. You have control over how you choose to face this stage. I know it's easy to say, and you might be thinking right now, sure, it sounds nice, but in practice, it's another story. And you're right to an extent. No one says it's a walk in the park, but I guarantee that if you shift your perspective, solitude can go from something you fear to something you embrace with gratitude. At the end of the day, living alone gives you a level of freedom that many envy. You're the captain of your ship, with no distractions, no noise, just you and your life. So to ensure that this stage of life doesn't turn into chaos, I've prepared a series of 7 lessons you can apply to enjoy your later years in a full, healthy, and, above all, dignified way. The Stoics knew well how to handle solitude and time, and those teachings are just as powerful today. Now it's your turn to discover them and make them part of your life. Stick around until the end, because the last one will surprise you. 1. Value your time even more in old age. The first lesson I want to share with you is essential. Value your time. Yes, I know. It sounds like advice you've heard 1,000 times, something you've been told your whole life. But I promise you, at this stage, it holds a much deeper meaning. Because when you live alone, your time is yours and yours alone. You don't have to adapt to anyone else's schedule or deal with constant interruptions. Each day, you wake up with 24 hours that you can fill as you please. That's a freedom few truly understand until it arrives. And this is where Stoicism comes in. Marcus Aurelius, the great emperor and philosopher, said something that always makes me think. Time is like a river, constantly flowing, and if you're not careful, it will carry you away. Living alone gives you the chance to become truly aware of that flow, of every passing minute. Because the truth is, at our age, time feels more precious than ever. We can't afford to waste it on things that don't bring us anything. So how do you truly make the most of that time? That's the challenge. Because the temptation to fill the quiet with easy distractions is always lurking. How many times have you found yourself in front of the TV watching shows you don't even care about just because you don't know what else to do with your day? Or worse, losing hours scrolling on social media, not even paying attention. I'm not judging you. We've all been there. It's easy to fall into these traps when there's no one around to set the pace or push you forward. But here's where a shift in mindset is key. Instead of seeing those empty moments as dead time, learn to see them as opportunities. Every second is a chance to invest in yourself. Because let me tell you something, solitude isn't the enemy. Idleness is. And that's where you need to be careful. I remember when I started to realize this. After living alone for a while, I noticed I had slipped into a routine of waiting for something that never seemed to arrive. Waiting for the next show, the next call, the next event. And that's when I decided I'd had enough. Because let's face it, time doesn't wait for anyone. What you don't do today, tomorrow won't give back to you. So I started making small changes. Simple things like setting up a daily routine, even when there was no outside obligation to do so. I made a commitment to spend at least an hour each day on something that made me feel good. Reading, walking, learning something new, whatever it was. And little by little, it changed my life. I began to feel that each day had a purpose. Stoicism teaches us that the only thing we truly own is the present, not the past, because it's gone, nor the future, because it's uncertain. And when you understand this, you realize that every minute counts. It's not about filling it with frantic activity, but about ensuring that whatever you do brings you closer to the life you want to live, making you feel more whole. So, what are you going to do with your time today? Think of something that makes you feel good, something that excites you or has intrigued you all your life, but you never gave yourself the luxury to explore. Maybe it's learning to cook that recipe you always loved, or starting to write that book you've had in mind, or simply spending time walking and enjoying the fresh air. What matters is recognizing that your time is your greatest resource, and each day that passes without using it consciously is a day that doesn't come back. So today, make a decision. Decide that you won't let time slip through your fingers. Decide that each day, no matter how small the step, you'll do something that brings you closer to the best version of yourself. Because, at the end of the day, time is the one thing that truly belongs to us. And living alone at 80 means that now, more than ever, you have the freedom to make the most of it in whatever way feels best to you. 2. Independence as a source of power. The second lesson I want to share with you is this. Being independent is a superpower. And no, I'm not exaggerating. Think about it for a moment. Living alone at 80 means you've accomplished something many younger people can't even imagine. Taking care of yourself, handling your own affairs, and being responsible for every detail of your life. That's no small feat. It's something to be proud of. But like any superpower, independence has its challenges. Some days, things won't go as planned. Life doesn't always cooperate, and when you live alone, there's no one around to provide immediate help. The temptation to think, "Why do I have to do this alone?" might show up. But that's when you need to remember an important truth. Your independence is what makes you strong. If you've managed to stand on your own until now, you have what it takes to face whatever challenges come your way. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught that true freedom lies in not depending on things you can't control. And what is it that you really control? Yourself, your actions, your decisions. Living alone puts you face to face with this reality in a way few other experiences do. There's no room to lean on others, and though it may sound tough, it's a constant reminder that true strength lies within you. Now, this doesn't mean you can't ask for help when you need it. Being independent isn't the same as being prideful or refusing support when it's genuinely needed. The independence I want you to recognize here is mental and emotional. It's knowing that no matter what happens, you have the ability to find solutions. That even in difficult times, you can rely on yourself to handle whatever comes your way. This is what brings you peace. Because at the end of the day, life has its ups and downs, but being independent means you feel capable of handling whatever comes without feeling adrift. I remember a close friend telling me after he lost his lifelong partner, "It's like the ground's been pulled out from under me. I don't know how to walk alone anymore." And I understand, because loss can make you question everything. But at the same time, there's something powerful in realizing that even without that person, you're still standing. Maybe a little unsteady at first, but standing. And slowly, you realize you can walk on your own. Being independent at 80 isn't just about managing day-to-day tasks. It's a statement of inner strength. It's looking at life and saying, "Yes, I'm still here, I'm moving forward, and I can handle this." Sure, there may be days when you wonder if everything would be easier with someone else at home. But the truth is, you don't need anyone else to validate your life. You're capable of standing on your own, and that's one of the greatest sources of freedom you can have. Marcus Aurelius said it well. Perfect tranquility is the good ordering of the mind in your own domain. And your domain is your life, your home, your decisions. There may be times when independence feels like a heavy load, but those are the moments when you grow the most. You're not waiting for someone to come and rescue you because you know you already have the tools within you to save yourself. So how can you embrace this independence even more? First, start by recognizing it as the gift it truly is. Don't view solitude as a sign that something's missing, but as proof that you have everything you need within you. Next, make sure to keep up your practical skills. Knowing how to handle basics, from finances to home maintenance, gives you a sense of control and peace that no one else can provide. And lastly, trust in your ability to tackle whatever comes your way. Big problem or small, you've already faced so much in life that there's no reason to think you can't handle what comes next. Being independent at 80 is in reality a blessing in disguise. There may be moments of doubt, but if you look back at what you've accomplished so far, you'll realize you're stronger than you know. So don't doubt yourself. The next time you feel lonely or overwhelmed by everything you have to manage, remind yourself, you've done it before and you can do it again. Independence isn't a burden. It's the purest freedom you can have. 3. Discover new passions in solitude. The third lesson I want to share is something we often overlook, yet it's crucial for enjoying life at any age. Discover new passions. And before you think, at 80, I'm not here to go discovering anything, let me tell you, you're in the perfect moment to do exactly that. Now, without the distractions of work or the responsibilities you used to have, you have the time and freedom to explore what truly excites you. I know what you're thinking. Passions? At this age? I've done what I needed to do. But I want you to look at it differently. Think about it. How many times in the past did you set something aside simply because you didn't have the time? Maybe you always wanted to learn how to paint, or maybe you were interested in writing, or even learning a new language. But between work, family, and all the obligations life threw at you, those ideas got lost in the shuffle. Now all of a sudden, you have the space to pick them up again. The beauty of living alone is that you have complete control of your time, and what you choose to do with it can transform the way you experience this stage of life. Epictetus said something very important. Do what depends on you and don't worry about the rest. And that's exactly what discovering new passions is all about. It's about focusing on what you can do, on what's within your control. If there's something that's always caught your interest, something you left for someday, why not start now? Solitude can be the perfect space for exploring what you love without anyone else's expectations. There's no outside pressure, just your curiosity, your desire to learn, and your own pace. I remember a neighbor of mine who, in his 70s, decided to learn to play the piano. Not because he wanted to be a concert pianist, but because he'd always been curious and never gave himself the chance. He started with online classes, practicing alone at home. At first, he had no idea what he was doing, but little by little, the music started to take shape. And each time I heard him practicing, I could see how his face changed. He was no longer someone just passing the time. He was someone who had found a new spark, a new reason to enjoy each day. Do you see? It's not about finding a passion that makes you famous or changes the world. It's about finding something that fills you up, that makes you feel alive. Because that's the key to keeping enthusiasm for life, even in moments of solitude. And if you think about it, now is the best time to do this. You're not in a hurry, and you don't have to answer to anyone. You can dedicate yourself to what you enjoy simply for the pleasure of it. Now for many, the hard part is the first step. How do I start, you might wonder? Well, my advice is simple. Start by remembering. What is something that's always interested you, but you never got around to doing? What catches your eye, but you always put off? Maybe it's something you've kept in mind for years, or maybe it's something you haven't even discovered yet. But the point is, now you have the freedom to explore it. And here's where Stoicism comes in again. The Stoics talked a lot about the importance of having a purpose, something to keep you focused and motivated. Marcus Aurelius said, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing." The struggle he referred to wasn't against others, but against inertia, against letting life pass without a clear purpose. So today, I invite you to wrestle for something that excites you. It doesn't have to be something big or ambitious. It just has to be something that makes you feel good, that ignites your curiosity and gives you the desire to keep learning. And if you don't know where to start, don't worry. The key is to experiment. Try new things. If gardening has always intrigued you, start with a few plants at home. If you enjoy writing, start a journal or even a personal blog. What matters is allowing yourself to discover what fills you up without pressure, without expectations. Just you, your curiosity, and the freedom to explore. Aging isn't the end of your passions, it's the beginning of a new phase where you can dedicate yourself to them like never before. And believe me, when you find that spark, that little thing that makes you excited to get up each morning, everything else will change. Solitude will become a companion, a safe space where you can be yourself without rush and without pressure. Because the truth is, it's never too late to rediscover what makes you happy. If you're enjoying the video so far and you feel you're finding new ways to apply Stoic wisdom to live with more strength and serenity, I invite you to subscribe and hit the like button. It helps me keep creating more content like this. And don't leave just yet. The most important lesson is coming up. If you're committed to finding balance and living this stage of life with more clarity, the final reflection might give you a completely new perspective. And tell me, where are you listening from? I'd love to know. Stay tuned until the end, because lesson number 7 could completely change the way you approach solitude and reconnect with yourself. Let's continue. 4. Let go of the fear of the future. The 4th lesson I want to share with you is crucial for maintaining inner peace. Let go of the fear of the future. I know at this stage in life, it might seem easier said than done. Fear of the future is something we all face at some point, but when you're living alone, especially at 80, that sense of uncertainty can feel overwhelming. You wonder what tomorrow will bring, how you'll be a few years from now, and whether you'll be able to keep taking care of yourself. These thoughts are completely natural, but if left unchecked, they can steal your tranquility. Here's the key, though. The future is like a ghost we've created in our minds. It has no shape, no reality, yet we feed it with our worries. Epictetus put it plainly. It's not the things themselves that disturb us, but the opinions we have about them. That's the trick. It's not the future itself that scares you. It's what you imagine might happen. Because the truth is, the future doesn't exist. All you have is the present, and it's in the present where you can act, where you can build something meaningful. Everything else, what might or might not happen tomorrow, is just a story we tell ourselves. Fear of the future is like background noise that we sometimes don't even notice, yet it's there, making us feel uneasy. The reality is that worrying about what could happen doesn't change anything. It doesn't make the future any safer, nor does it make problems disappear. It only steals the time you could be enjoying right now. When you live alone, that sense of being on your own can amplify worries. You wonder, what if I get sick? What if I can't manage on my own in a few years? And of course, it's natural to think about these things, but living in the what-ifs is like living in an invisible cage. Every time you worry about something that hasn't happened, you're taking away the chance to enjoy what you have today. And this is where the Stoics come in with something they always emphasized: acceptance. It's not about giving up or being passive, it's about accepting what you can't control and acting on what you can. Because, at the end of the day, the only thing you control is what you do today. What can you do today to improve your life, to take care of yourself, to prepare, without becoming obsessed with what might or might not happen? That's the question to ask yourself, rather than getting stuck in the what-ifs. The answer can be something as simple as exercising to stay strong, learning something new to keep your mind active, or even talking to a doctor to make a plan in case you need support down the line. That's acting in the present. Worrying without taking any action, on the other hand, is like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. Marcus Aurelius put it in starkly clear terms. Do not let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you must, with the same reason that arms you against the present. Think about that for a moment. Whatever comes in the future, good or bad, you'll face it when it arrives. And by then, you'll have the same strength and wisdom you've gathered over all these years. There's no reason to doubt that. When we let go of the fear of the future, what we're left with is the present. And the present is much more manageable. Today, here and now, you're okay. You can enjoy your day, your home, your routines, without letting fear steal that peace from you. And if tomorrow brings a challenge, you'll face it with the same courage you've shown in all the other moments of your life. So next time you find yourself trapped in the thoughts about the future, I invite you to pause and ask yourself, what can I do today, right now, to improve my life? What can I control at this moment? Maybe it's something small, like preparing a good meal or going for a walk. Maybe it's something bigger, like planning some practical steps for the future without obsessing over them. The important thing is to focus your energy on what you can change and stop wasting it on what you can't control. Remember this: the future has no power over you. The only power it has is the power you choose to give it. And if you choose to live in the present, making the best of what you have, I assure you that the future will look far less frightening when it arrives. 5. Keep the body active and the mind calm. The fifth lesson I want to share with you is this: keep your body active and your mind calm. Let's be honest, reaching 80 doesn't mean you're supposed to sit back and watch life pass you by. Quite the opposite. In fact, staying active is one of the best things you can do to make sure these years aren't just long, but also full of vitality. And I'm not only talking about keeping your body active, but your mind too. Because if one gets rusty, the other usually follows suit. Let's start with the physical. You might think that at your age, there's not much left you can do, but the reality is, it's never too late to start moving a little more. I'm not saying you need to train for a marathon, though if that motivates you, by all means go for it. What I mean is that something as simple as a daily walk can make a huge difference. The Stoics believed in caring for the body as an essential tool for living well. Seneca said, "Life is like a play. It's not the length, but the excellence of the acting that matters. And part of that excellence depends on how you care for your body." When you keep moving, even with simple activities like stretching or going for a walk, you ensure that your body remains an asset, not an obstacle. It's not only about avoiding health issues, though that's important too, it's about feeling good within yourself. Feeling that you can still move with ease, that your body responds well, is a way to maintain your independence. And here's the interesting part: the more you move, the more energy you'll feel, not less. Just the act of going for a walk or doing light exercise can completely change your mood, giving you that spark of vitality that makes the day feel a little lighter. But it's not all about the body. Keeping the mind active is just as important. When we live alone, it's easy to fall into a routine of watching TV or passing time without engaging in anything mentally stimulating. Sure, we all need those moments of relaxation, but your mind needs exercise just as much as your body does. If you stop challenging it, it stagnates. And none of us want that, right? This is where mental serenity comes in, something the Stoics valued greatly. It's not just about filling your mind with information, it's about keeping it serene, focused, and free from unnecessary worries. Marcus Aurelius understood this well. The art of living resembles more wrestling than dancing, in that it stands ready to meet what comes. Keeping a strong mind doesn't just mean reading a book or solving a puzzle, though those help, but learning to train it so that it doesn't get caught up in useless thoughts. How do you keep the mind? both active and serene. Here are some practical ideas. First, keep learning. Whether you're 80, 90, or 100, there's always something new to discover. Maybe it's a subject you've always been interested in, but never had the time to explore. Now, you do. You could read about history, learn to play an instrument, or even take an online course. The important thing is to give your brain something to engage with, something to keep it curious and alert. But it's also key to give it moments of calm. This is where serenity comes in. The Stoics practice something similar to what we know as meditation today, a time for reflection, to quiet the mind and set aside all the noise. It doesn't have to be a big ceremony. It can be as simple as sitting quietly for a few minutes each day, observing your thoughts without letting them carry you away, and focusing on your breathing. This small act of meditation can help reduce stress, improve mental clarity, and keep you calm in the face of whatever life may bring. The balance between activity and serenity will help keep both your body strong and your mind clear. Because being physically fit isn't enough if your mind is weighed down with constant worry, or if you've resigned yourself to the idea that there's nothing new to learn. And likewise, a sharp mind can only go so far if the body can't keep pace. So today, I propose something simple. Move your body and calm your mind. Go for a walk, do some stretches or simple exercises to keep yourself in shape. Then, take a few minutes to sit quietly, breathe deeply, and let your mind settle. Little by little, you'll notice that the energy you invest in these small habits will return to you as a sense of well-being that makes each day feel lighter and more fulfilling. Remember, the key is balance. Take care of the body, strengthen the mind, and make sure both work together to help you enjoy each day to the fullest, no matter your age or whether you live alone. 6. Surround yourself with positive ideas, not negative people. The sixth lesson I want to share with you is this. Surround yourself with positive ideas, not negative people. And before you think I'm suggesting you go out and make new friends at this stage, let me clarify. Physical company is great, but it's not the most important thing. Sometimes, being alone is far better than being in bad company, especially when it comes to protecting your mental peace. Here's the interesting part. Even if you live alone, you're not truly isolated. You're constantly surrounded by ideas, thoughts, and of course what you consume daily, whether it's television, social media, or books. Take a moment to ask yourself this: what are you allowing into your mind? Because often, what affects your well-being isn't so much loneliness, but the ideas you choose to keep company with. And believe me, this has a much bigger impact than you might think. The Stoics were masters at managing this. For them, what you think and consume mentally shapes the way you live. Seneca put it well, choose your thoughts as you would choose your friends. And he was absolutely right. When you surround yourself with negative thoughts, ideas that weigh you down, or even people who only bring problems and unnecessary drama, even through a screen, you're filling your life with noise and stress you don't need. Think about it. How many times have you watched the news or a TV program and ended up feeling more worried, anxious, or even angry about something that, in reality, has nothing to do with you? Living alone might make you feel more connected to the outside world, and that's fine to a certain extent, but it's easy to let those external voices take over your mind, creating a constant environment of negativity without even noticing. So, what's the solution? Surround yourself with influences that lift you up, not bring you down. And no, I'm not talking about blind optimism or pretending everything's perfect. It's about being mindful of what you consume, of the ideas you allow into your life and how they affect you. If something or someone, even through a screen, is stealing your peace, it's time to change the channel, both figuratively and literally. For example, instead of watching programs that only fill you with worry, why not look for content that inspires and motivates you? If you've always been curious about learning something new, like history, science, or even spirituality, this is your chance to surround yourself with knowledge that enriches you. It doesn't matter how old you are, your mind is always ready to learn. And when you surround yourself with positive ideas and content that offers more than just superficial entertainment, you'll feel the difference almost immediately. It's like gradually clearing the air around you, removing the toxins left behind by negativity. Of course, this doesn't mean you should completely disconnect from reality or people. It just means you can choose who or what to spend your time with. If you realize that certain people, even family or friends, only bring complaints, problems, or endless drama, you don't have to engage. It's okay to set boundaries, even if that means spending more time alone than with those who drain you. In the end, the peace you protect is worth far more than an empty conversation. Remember, living alone doesn't have to mean isolation. You can choose who you relate to, but you can also choose the ideas that nourish your mind. Sometimes, an afternoon spent reading a good book or watching an interesting documentary can be far more enriching than a social interaction that leaves you feeling drained. The Stoics understood that surrounding yourself with the right influences was essential for maintaining peace of mind, and those influences don't always come in the form of people. Sometimes, the best company you can have is a calm mind, nurtured by ideas that inspire you to improve, to learn more, and to enjoy each day without carrying worries you don't need. So the next time you're about to watch something or talk to someone, ask yourself, is this adding to my life or taking away from it? And if the answer is that it's taking away, don't hesitate to change course. Surround yourself with ideas that help you keep calm, that inspire you, that remind you of how much you've lived and how much you still have to enjoy. Because, at the end of the day, you're the guardian of your own mental well-being. And living alone gives you the freedom to consciously choose what's truly worth letting into your life. 7. Virtue is your best companion. The seventh lesson I want to share is one that's been essential for the Stoics and remains just as relevant today. Virtue is your best companion. And I'm not talking about virtue in the moralistic sense of being a good Samaritan or anything like that. I mean virtue as the key to living a fulfilling life, a life where inner peace doesn't depend on what happens outside, but on how you choose to act and think. For the Stoics, from Seneca to Marcus Aurelius, virtue was like a compass. That compass guides you so that no matter what's happening around you, whether it's solitude, physical challenges, or even future worries, you can always find your true north. For them, virtue centered on 4 core principles: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. But let's break it down in a practical way, because theory is great, but what matters most is how to apply it day to day. First, wisdom. This isn't about how much you know or how many books you've read. It's about the ability to discern what truly matters in life. And at 80, after all you've been through, you have an incredible advantage over younger generations: experience. You know what's truly important and what's just noise. You know that money, status, and material things are fleeting, and that what's most valuable can't be bought. Wisdom means recognizing which battles are worth fighting and which you should simply let go. Not every problem needs your attention. Sometimes the wisest thing is to let it flow. Then there's courage. And here, I want to be clear, living alone requires courage. Not everyone has the strength to face life independently, especially when society often says that at your age, you should depend on others. But here you are, making your own decisions, and that's an act of courage in itself. The Stoics emphasize the importance of facing life with bravery, not as someone who denies fear, but as someone who feels it and still moves forward. Every day you get up and go on, even if it's in small ways, you're practicing courage, and that's no small feat. Next is justice, which we often think applies only to others, but the Stoics reminded us that justice also means being fair to ourselves. Are you fair to yourself? Do you treat yourself with the same compassion and respect you'd offer others? Sometimes we're our own harshest critics, judging ourselves for not doing more or not being who we used to be. But justice also means giving yourself a break, recognizing that you've done the best you could with what you had, and that every day is a new chance to be fair to the one who matters most, you. And lastly, temperance, which is the art of balance. Living alone can lead to extremes, either too much inactivity or overloading yourself by trying to fill every moment. Temperance is a reminder that balance is key. You don't have to do everything or nothing, just enough to maintain your peace, your well-being, and your joy. A bit of exercise, a bit of rest, a bit of reflection, a bit of action. This balance is what the Stoics understood as the key to living in harmony, both with the outside world and your own inner world. So, virtue becomes a guide that keeps you focused on what truly matters. When you live alone, virtue becomes your best companion because it reminds you that even if no one else is in the house, you always have the power to act with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. And unlike people, circumstances, or material things, virtue won't abandon you. It's always there, waiting for you to apply it in every decision, in every thought. There's a quote from Seneca that perfectly captures this idea. There is no good without a companion. Virtue cannot exist without a fitting companion, yourself. In other words, you don't need anyone else to live a fulfilled, virtuous life. You already have everything you need within you to be your best self, no matter what's happening around you. So how can you apply this lesson in your daily life? Start by observing your actions and thoughts. Ask yourself, am I acting wisely or letting unnecessary worries control me? Am I showing courage or allowing fear to paralyze me? Am I being fair to myself or judging myself too harshly? Am I balanced or leaning too far in one direction? Each time you ask yourself these questions, you're training yourself to act with virtue. And the more you do it, the more you'll notice how everything in your life starts to align. Solitude will no longer feel like a burden, but as an opportunity to practice the best of yourself. Because in the end, virtue is the best company you can have. Reaching 80, living alone, and keeping your head held high is truly an accomplishment. You've traveled a long road full of lessons, each one preparing you for this moment. Solitude, which some might see as a burden, is in fact a unique opportunity, an opportunity to reconnect with yourself, to embrace your independence, and to enjoy a life where you're the captain of your destiny. No matter what the future holds, what truly matters is how you choose to face each day. The Stoics taught us that while we can't control what happens outside us, we can always control how we respond. You have the freedom to make this stage of life the best one yet, to fill your days with activities that nourish you, to surround yourself with ideas that elevate you, and to live in alignment with your virtues. Wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance are the guiding lights that will help you move forward with strength and serenity. Remember, solitude isn't the same as isolation. It's a space you can fill with meaning, with purpose, and with passions that make you feel alive. Because despite everything, each day you wake up is a gift. And living alone at this stage of life is a testament to your resilience, to your ability to carry on without relying on anything or anyone but yourself. That is your true strength. My name is Gabriel, And if this is your first time here, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming topics we'll be discussing. And if you've made it to the end of this video, it means you're truly committed to personal growth, and that deserves recognition. To know who made it this far, leave a comment with the phrase, "I am Stoic," and let me know where you're listening from. I'd love to hear where in the world you're tuning in from. Before you go, don't forget to share this video with someone you think might need it. Sometimes, a simple reflection can make a huge difference in someone's life. See you in the next video, and remember, every day is a new opportunity to live with strength, purpose, and serenity.